Not bad. Not bad. It was all right.
Welcome, everyone, to the new and improved Finance Junkies. We lost a couple people along the way, apparently. We lost KRIS and VITALY to illness and work. But welcome, the new rebranded Junkies.
We're gonna test the intro, guys. I think that's we're still working on the intros, but it was a smooth transition. Nothing.
Yeah, it was bad. I didn't hear when you said we were live until 10 seconds.
So yeah, there's a little delay there.
That's fine. They always skip the first 10 seconds anyway.
That's true.
Anyway, so
I got some vanilla chai.
Okay.
Nice little mood, you know.
That always that kind of grosses me out because I know what you're doing when you're normally burning that thing. You're there talking sweet nothings to someone that may or may not be in the chat.
That's true.
Be like, send nudes. There may not be some Jergens in your eye. Like, oh, guys, Jergen stock.
guys, the Jergens.
So bullish.
So KRIS and VITALY they left the pod. So it's just me and Carlos. We're holding it down for, I guess, forever now.
And this is the most that we've talked in a single day since we were actually near each other in Vegas.
Yeah, dude, we had a great talk in Vegas. We're gonna have a great talk in Cali. We broke bread together, so it's cool. And I think after the pod yesterday, Carlos was like, "Oh, that was good." I was like, "Dude, I got C's in high school, but I think we have some chemistry." And Carlos,
puke emoji.
Dude, there was a joke I made on the fucking market opens. It was so good, dude. I feel like I want to share it, but I don't want to annoy everybody. But
like a list of your greatest hits, which is like,
no, dude, it was the word of the day was muster, right? The word of the day was muster, like muster up the courage.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, I was like, that's fine, but I don't like mustard on my hot dog or something. And I made it flow well. And then someone was like, "Oh, so how much ketchup do you put on it?" And I'm like, just like a line of ketchup, like a line of Coke on the hot dog, but I don't do Coke. And then I sniff my nose. Like people could say, it's like it was a whole little bit that was just.
You'll good. Never hold public office. No.
Yes. Yeah.
That clip.
Yeah.
Muster up courage.
Well, here's a question for you before we get started into it. Thank you everybody for being here. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin ETF, obviously approved. We're gonna talk about NVIDIA.
Yeah, we went live. I don't know. I somehow caught you live when they actually announced that. If you missed that, then just go back and watch it on AMIT's channel because I'm not gonna say anything different.
Yeah, we had 600 people, and Carlos did a great job. It was good coverage. It was like when something happens, you need coverage, and Carlos did a great job giving us coverage.
That was good and a historical moment.
Would you ever want to hold public office ever?
I've thought about it. And look, a little secret. I did during the pandemic. I researched taking law classes to get my law degree.
Why?
So I could run for office.
So why would you want to run for office?
Because I do feel, although the system is broken, you just gotta break in and get in there and start saying things that affect people. It's like the idea of the only way to combat bad speech is good speech. I feel like I've got to get in there and start saying some things that I think people need to hear. A big part of it was when I became a parent, and I'm like, human brains are computers, and we should be the ones programming them, right? And I'm like, all right, well, let me get in there and try to affect some of the change that could help what we're programming our society. So I did. I was looking into that. I'm looking into how do you get in city council? There's a woman who lives on my block. She's retired, but she's very well connected politically, and she does a lot of fundraisers, lowers capital gains taxes. Yeah, I probably would eliminate capital gains taxes on crypto specifically.
Oh, we know you would do that.
Yeah, I just don't think that the government should be entitled to those gains. Because if I lose the money, does the government cover me? Think about it.
True.
Do they cover me? Do they insure my losses up to a certain amount? No, I don't think so. But she's very well connected, and she does a lot of fundraisers for local politicians that are running for congressmen or districts and stuff. And I've gone to some of these meetings there, and I just had a really good time. That was a big thing for me too, because it was like a little mini town hall where we got a bunch of the neighbors in our neighborhood to talk to her about why she should unseat the 10-year incumbent on whatever. And it's a really powerful thing when you as a homeowner are in an area with a bunch of your neighbors being like, this is the problem we're seeing. What are you actually going to do to solve it? And you can get a vibe on them, whether they're full of shit or not. You can tell whether they're bought or not. And
but do you think someone like Vivek that's made billions of dollars, why do you think he's going for public office? Do you think he actually cares about people, or when you made that much money, why would you go to the public sector?
Well, because for every Mark Zuckerberg, there's a Vivek.
What do you mean?
Like, what do you do when you make enough money that you, your family, all your descendants are set for life? What do you then want to do with it? I think you use your money to amplify your influence.
Right.
You on some level, and I don't say this because I'm not a billionaire, but on some level, you must feel I did something right. I did something right, and I do deserve to have a position where I can influence people because I was able to create $1 billion of worth or whatever, right?
Right.
And so, depending on who you were. Because I believe that money only amplifies the person that you were before you were rich, right? So depending on who you were before, I do think that can amplify both the good and the bad. I kind of went back and forth on Vivek, and actually, Kevin had a great video that broke down like all the reasons why he might be a bad actor. But the more I listen to him, the more I like the guy. He reminds me a lot of, not policy wise, but in the way that he carries himself to what's his name? Ron Paul.
Yeah. I can see that.
Ron Paul was a great politician. You know, his son Rand Paul is like the diet version of him. I'm not like a super fan of Rand Paul, but Ron Paul, he just, man, if you just look up Ron Paul compilations, he had some
good
mashes on debates, and what the media did to him was actually worse than what they're doing to Vivek. I don't know if you saw that social media influencer, a couple million followers, got deplatformed by YouTube.
Yeah, I saw that
because he posted a video of him solving a Rubik's Cube while Vivek was saying what he would do to solve
some election shit.
And these are the things where it's like, I like Google, and people like Meta, but they're doing it right in front of your fucking face, man. And it's like, damn, why does it have to be this way? And his whole point is like, these companies should exist. These companies should still do what they got to do. It's the same argument for AI, but let's at least agree on like what certain ground rules are. It's like when we went into Vietnam, there were certain ground rules. We're not going to do these certain tactics, right? There's certain things that you do even in war where you still respect, right? You still respect your enemy. And I feel like some of that's been lost. Yeah, if Vivek had accomplished 10% of his goals, it would be amazing. And I think that I'm sure you saw bits of the Republican debate that happened yesterday. It was just
there was a debate yesterday. Oh no, I didn't see shit.
Yeah, it was just Nikki Haley and
what? There was a debate, dude. How did I not?
It was Haley and what's his name, Ron DeSantis. They didn't even allow Vivek, and they're saying, oh, he didn't meet the polling minimums, but it's like that's a way of eliminating.
Yeah.
And I just feel
all right. Let's move on to Bitcoin. I do have a special guest who's randomly joining us, who texted me, who has some questions about Bitcoin. So this will get more exciting.
All right, let's make it real short. Oh no, here we go. It has no intrinsic value whatsoever. I can't put it in my spreadsheet.
Dude, he's wearing a fucking Hewlett Packard sweater right now. This is who we've got.
All right, Steve.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
The funniest
thing.
I should cover that, right?
No,
we don't want any advertisements.
I don't think.
No, Steve, it's not that serious, dude. It's
we make like $2 on this. Just send Amit the Venmo.
No, don't do through Venmo. The IRS will fucking find out.
Yeah, well, if
I was gonna say something, Steven. Your last name is very attractive.
Dividend streams?
No. Yeah, that's attractive too. Streams of dividend.
Wouldn't that be sick? He's like, no, middle name dividend.
No, Fiorillo, dude, saying that there's something, it rolls off the tongue like Fiorillo,
Okay.
Fiorillo sounds the guy that you tell the guy that owes you money that you don't want me to call him in the room,
right?
Bro, if you don't,
I'm gonna get Fiorillo in here in 2 seconds.
Fiorillo in here, he's gonna get the money one way or another. Either your brains or your signature is gonna be on this contract. What movie is that?
And he's never seen that movie.
I know he's never.
No, I have seen that movie. I have seen the.
What movie is that? He's like The Departed.
Say the quote one more time.
Either your brain.
No. You haven't seen the movie. You haven't seen the movie.
Either
your brain. First of all, I'm trolling you guys all the time, but just say the quote one more time.
Either your brains or your signature is going to be on this contract.
It's the father of the god.
Good one. He had.
Now you can't check my Google search history where I just typed in either your brains or your signature.
He has ChatGPT over.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Google's not dead. That shit pulled up Godfather in 3 seconds, dude.
No, Google is
right now on a live stream.
Oh my god. Okay, right. So let's start with this. Steven, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin ETF being approved?
I have questions.
Like philosophical questions or what questions?
Well, here's my main question.
Everything now. I'm questioning
what
is
because now it looks like okay. Go ahead.
No. So okay, Bitcoin has always had value because individuals purchase Bitcoin. So whatever somebody's willing to pay for something is the current value of it. So Bitcoin's always had value. It's always been a store of value. Doesn't an ETF kind of hurt the Bitcoin case, so to speak, because you're going to have all this Bitcoin sitting on platforms, not moving around, and the ETF is going to be traded, not Bitcoin, and it's just going to be sitting there idle.
But that pushes the price up. If you want to buy an asset and there's no sellers, then the price goes up.
It's called basic supply and demand. We learned it in college, Stephen.
Well,
no, but it's not direct though. Right now, it's direct on the exchanges, supply and demand.
Yeah,
but when it's sitting in an ARK fund or a BlackRock fund or a Fidelity fund, it is sitting there, and the fund is trading around it.
The fund is trading around it, and if they're holding the underlying asset, they can't sell it. They have to have a certain percentage of the asset to cover the deposits, right? So
I need to read the prospectus. I don't even know if they're out yet.
So yeah, and from what I understand, they don't actually start buying until tomorrow. I don't know. I was running around doing kid stuff, so I haven't been able to check how that exactly is working. But the point is, they now have to have Bitcoin. They now have to be a custodian of Bitcoin, and by holding the asset.
The interesting part's going to be how often do they have to buy shares based on how much inflows they have, because that is what I think will drive the price up. Is if these ETFs do what everybody thinks it's going to do, where my parents and older people that are not necessarily in Bitcoin, that now that it's an ETF, would be more comfortable investing in it. Is that going to make them have to just buy more because there's going to be more inflows?
That's what I would imagine. That's what I think is the bull case, right?
Yeah, that can certainly push up
massive inflows into the ETF, and they need to have a correlation to that position in Bitcoin. Then they need to hold the asset. I mean, just ask yourself, just take the word Bitcoin out of that question and plug in gold. What would that do to what happened to the price of gold when the gold ETF was introduced? You can look it up.
Gold's gone gradually up.
Yeah. Well, and that's and we can say that the same thing is going to happen to Bitcoin, except we already know the supply, and we know that the supply is fake, so they're not going to be making any more of it.
Dude, ARK had a really big Twitter Spaces today. Kathy, Elon, a lot of these people. There were some pretty sophisticated people I haven't heard from before, and they were talking about how pension funds are going to be more diversified into these ETFs. Like, I know these are the arguments that we've had for 7 months now, but there are going to be a lot of institutions that load up on these ETFs, and you would imagine there's more inflows. Like, there's more manipulation, but there's definitely more inflows as well.
But what they're doing is they're going to manipulate the stock market side of it. They can't manipulate. They're going to be manipulating the stock market side of it. I think this is actually a win-win, right? It's because market makers still want to have the ability to move markets. I mean, that's what they do. And with an ETF, they can do that now. And they can still somewhat manipulate the price of Bitcoin now. But at least for now, I think that price is only going to go up, at least in the interim. And it couldn't have been timed any better than happening now, when like the supply of Bitcoin. Look, the halvings have been impactful on the price, but this particular halving, where you're getting to such a low quantity of Bitcoin coming out, basically diluting the current outstanding pool. It's like 3 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. It's so small that I just feel like, man, we were talking about this last halving, but this was the perfect halving to have this happen. The other side, like knock-on effect of this, I think, is that more people will feel comfortable holding the asset itself. And I also think that companies now will start to feel more comfortable holding this as a certain percentage of their free cash flow.
Dude, and that's where the real inflows come in.
That's honestly where the real money is. If every company goes, let's just get 1 or 2% of this, since now there's an ETF, even if they don't buy the ETF directly, but say, let's just hold it on our balance sheet. And now people want to see that they've got that on their balance sheet, or it performs well for some companies in the space. And other companies
are huge because it completely legitimizes it, and it makes it a investment option that you could see companies add into their 401k plans as an option. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but companies are in control of what the people that are in their investment plan can invest in. I mean, this really does legitimize it, and it's going to make it a lot easier for people to hold. I think the real winners are the people that hold Bitcoin independently that aren't paying fees. Because if you're pro Bitcoin, what is the upside to holding an ETF and paying a fee?
Wait, so I have a question about that. I have a question. If I buy ARK's ETF tomorrow, I pay $20. Let's say it opens at $20. How much of that $20 is paying for her fee? It's whatever
I don't know what the fee is. Was it point?
2 days ago, they
0.25. So that's what 25. So 0.25 basis points on my $20 is it's not even going to Bitcoin.
$25 every 10 grand.
$25 every 10 grand.
If it's 0.25, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
You sure 0.25, not 0.025?
No, it's 0.25. It's
okay, well,
it can't be 0.025. That would be lower than the index.
Okay, no, look, I trust you. I trust you with the numbers. So yeah, okay, so $25 for every 10 grand.
Yeah.
Is that?
I mean, the only difference is if you buy it on Coinbase, you have the upfront fee. I mean, that
it doesn't seem like the fee is a big deal, dude, because you're paying a fee on Coinbase or Robinhood anyway.
Well, do you pay a fee on Robinhood to buy crypto?
It's 35 basis points, which is the cheapest out of all. And it doesn't matter what the price. See, Coinbase makes a shit ton of money because if Bitcoin goes to 100 grand, they get a fee off of 100 grand. Robinhood charges a flat fee no matter what the price.
But you have to see how Coinbase did a service where you can pay one price per month and like unlimited.
Yeah, the subscription.
So you can always do that. And obviously when the price starts peaking, I think I'm already subscribed to it, but since I'm DCAing a really small amount, I'm not feeling it. I have to check and see if I'm actually subscribed to that. But essentially, you can if you know you're going to be doing a lot of trades where the fees would be more than what Coinbase would charge, you just use Coinbase One.
Right.
And that's like a subscription service that they're making.
Dude, so that's great revenue. That's great revenue. Danger says the ETF fee is an expense ratio assessed every year, not just once upon buying. Yeah, it's going to be insignificant to the majority of people, dude. Like no one cares, dude, about that fee.
Yeah, people understand. People get it. People get it. I don't think that the headline's going to be Bitcoin ETF tanks due to high
$25 for my 10 grand. I'm scared.
Sticker shock from high fees. So yeah, I think we're going to be okay. But it was good. I mean, I don't have anything more to say on it. I think it was good, and now we just need to actually see what the price action does from this point, and just get our way to the halving. Let me see how many days are we having.
The ARK shares are already at 25. Are they? So Robinhood said they're going to list them tomorrow morning. Are they listed already?
And what's the market cap at $25?
ARK B. Oh no, it's not listed yet.
Wow, it's exactly 100 days. So we're exactly T-minus 100 days to the Bitcoin halving.
Okay. Steve, are you buying the Bitcoin ETF?
No.
Would you buy Bitcoin now?
Probably not.
What would be your argument against it? Like not even a bear case for it, but why you wouldn't buy it?
So I just see it as a store of value. I have no idea what it's going to go to. Mm-hmm. If it goes to 100 grand, it's what, 110% return right now. I don't see the point anymore.
What do you mean? From buying it at 100 grand? But I'm saying if you
no, I'm just saying I don't see the point in buying it right now.
If it's at 46,000.
Yeah, because if it goes up to 100,000, you're making 110, 120%. I can get the same return.
Look at his nose. He's like, what's a measly bullshit 110, 100?
No, but I think there's other opportunities. That
can do 3x. Need a 3x.
I mean,
need a 3x.
Oh, fuck. Dude, if Bitcoin goes to 100 grand, my Robinhood options are gonna more than 3x.
Look, that would be awesome. I still don't believe it solves any problem whatsoever.
No, you're wrong. I paid a guy in Nigeria last week. You've heard me. You watch my streams. You know this argument.
Okay.
It did solve a problem.
It doesn't solve a cross-border payment problem.
What are you talking about? Nigeria is across the U.S. border, from the best of my understanding. So he wanted $1,000. I sent it to him.
This will be, we will do a dedicated episode on this.
No, we're doing a dedicated episode. How is that not a use case for this? There's no argument agained. I mean, I'm curious.
Because the Earth is flat and the chemtrails don't allow.
I cannot believe you just said that.
Doesn't allow the money to cross the border.
So,
dude, it's a simple argument. The guy wanted money. He didn't have PayPal. I needed a service. We had a value exchange.
Okay,
boom, bada bing, bada boom.
Before we get there, Carlos, my father is basically a rocket scientist, and I've been trying to convince him that the Earth is flat. And it is the funniest thing fucking with him and trying to convince him of this.
Funny you mentioned, I was watching a video, like the premier flat earther guy went on with like a physicist, and
is it Flat Earth Dave?
Oh no, what the fuck is this? It's in my YouTube, bro? It is.
What do you guys be watching, bro? I don't know.
My YouTube algorithm is a mess. No,
Carlos,
but
you're gonna love this. I sent him a video of Eddie Bravo explaining.
Eddie
explaining chemtrails.
But Eddie Bravo is like Eddie Bravo is like not the best example. He's
Admit, do you know who Eddie Bravo is?
Of course, I know who Eddie Bravo
Yeah, you're Googling it. That's why.
No, I'm not Googling it. I'm not. He's the guy. He's an American martial arts instructor.
Yeah, 10th
like Eddie Bravo, born in
1970s, 53. He's, who the fuck is Eddie Bravo? Who's this guy?
Share like 2 seconds of this.
Who's Eddie Bravo?
Just share like
trails, baby.
We draw lines. We can graph lines and do math in perfect Euclidean geometry. The Earth has a spherical surface. So yeah, we can go, that's a line and that's a line. And if we're just looking at less than a mile, yeah, it looks really straight. But it's not, because the Earth is a sphere. So you're not comprehending scale. That's the problem.
Has anybody measured curvature in large body of water at rest? You know, large body of water needs a.
He was answering the question why. He's like, if what you're saying is true, then the Twin Towers, when they were up, the top floor is
not getting
wider than the bottom floors to account for the curvature of the Earth. He thinks that over like half a city block, you should notice the curvature of the Earth. He did not understand how they could all be the same size. And that guy.
I've been messing with him about this and trolling him about this. And I found that new map that they made like 10 years ago with Antarctica as the ice wall, and I sent it to him. Oh my God, he lost it on me. It's hilarious.
I would imagine. I would imagine. He was
okay,
like,
go ahead, Carl.
No, he just disowned you. He's
he's
out of your dividend streams. He's like, yo, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, he's got a PhD in electrical engineering from NYU. Like, he's a legit rocket scientist. And he's like, you do not honestly believe the Earth is flat, do you? I've talked about it so much in the past 6 months that I think he's starting to believe I actually believe.
You actually believe,
even though he
why do you do this? Just to fuck with him? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, his reaction's hilarious about it.
So you can't get mad when I fuck with you if you fuck with your own dad. Like, it's just
but the shit that you fuck with me about is ridiculous. Like, not seeing any of these movies.
No. Carlos, do you like mint chocolate chip ice cream?
Not my favorite. No, it wouldn't be my first choice.
Steve eats toothpaste with his ice cream. I don't.
I know you think it's toothpaste. Okay.
Okay. What's the argument against the Nigerian prince getting $1,000 from me? Why is that?
Nigerian prince. Okay. So and I don't have anything pulled up, but I can pull everything up if you really want. Yeah, pretty much. So Bitcoin remittance time or settlement time is what, 30 minutes?
Yeah, about. Yeah.
Okay. So the fluctuations with Bitcoin is too volatile over a 30-minute period for it to truly be a cross-border payment solution. You need something with instantaneous, and I'm not saying that's not a store of value or anything like that, because it is. I'm not saying it's not divisible, because it is. And you can certainly make an agreement and pay somebody. I actually really like the Ethereum idea about smart contracts. I think that that's genius. I think it could completely work.
Hey, we don't abuse likes in here. Hey, nobody smash that like button.
Don't abuse.
Right now, you're smashing that like button. It's a permanent ban. Just be gentle with it. He went all caps and everything. Damn, Joseph, you're such a violent guy.
So I think Bitcoin has other true cases more on the end of a store of value. And I can completely see that it goes to 100 grand or 150 grand. I am not a Bitcoin hater. I do not think it is the solution for cross-border payments or payments.
But I just told you.
Hold on.
You can use it, but it's very volatile over that period. XRP through Ripple has a 3-second settlement time. I can purchase XRP with USD. Yeah. I can send it to somebody in Japan, and they can sell it for yen within instantaneous.
No, I'm not saying you can, and that's great for XRP. I'm just saying, why is that bad for Bitcoin? Like,
it's not bad for Bitcoin. I'm just saying that's not the case for it. It's a store of value, not a payment solution. Like, it's never going to be a true payment solution. It
Okay.
doesn't have the settlement time.
But it is, because you can instantaneously convert the Bitcoin to XRP, send that, then the person converts it to whatever they want on the other side. So using Bitcoin, you can still get the benefit of the XRP speed. You can still get the benefit of it. So
yes, you can convert Bitcoin, then utilize XRP or
Right.
XLU if that.
When I want to send, if I want to send you money, or like a large amount of money, I
Yeah.
have to do a wire transfer, or I have to do an ACH. Then my bank issues a check, and it
I'm
goes.
just
to you.
saying Bitcoin to Bitcoin is not the best way to do it. That's all I'm saying. Like right now, the quickest way for me to bring 10 grand to California is to fly it there. I mean, unless you use XRP or crypto. I mean, if I send a wire, it's not settling. If I send you 10 grand, it's not settling. The quickest way is for me to bring cash.
Yeah.
But what if you just Zelle it?
If you did, you're gonna have to, you better get your butthole ready at security at the
Well,
airport.
yeah, if you want to do it that way. Even Zelle, you're not getting that whole thing until
There's a 25. I did a job, and it was about 15 grand, and the guy couldn't pay me. It took him days because he had a $2,500 limit every day. The first time he sent it, it was like a fraud protection. Then he had to authorize it, and then it was like $2,500 a day for a number of days. It was a long time to get that payment settled. If we did it on crypto, I'd have the money instantly.
Yeah, and I think there is a big use case for crypto. And look, I do think Bitcoin's going to continue to go up. I think more people are going to get into it because of the ETF, and this completely legitimizes it because I think a lot of people are going to feel safer that aren't necessarily want to go down the route of buying it on Coinbase or putting it into a cold storage wallet. This gives them a lot of just ease, and I do think it makes it a lot easier for institutions and retirement plans to start entering the space. This is all positive for it. I do think there's going to be other use cases and other cryptos that do work. And the other thing when you think about payments in the SWIFT network, if you send money overseas, you have intermediary banks taking a fee. Sometimes it can take up to 5 or 10 business days for it to settle and clear and everything. So if
you ever tried to,
I would look into Ripple and XRP.
Have you ever tried to get money when you're overseas, or the ridiculous exchange rates that they charge you?
It's crazy.
You're trying to change. I think ultimately what Rango said at 627, that's the true value. The more money that you're trying to send, the less that the fees or the time that it takes matters, right? So what his whole comment, if AMIT would stop sexting at 627.
Okay, I'm not sexting. I am texting, but I'm not sexting. That is
Rango says the payment for large amounts of money, not a lot of transactions. Where it shines is when you try. If you want to send $10 million now, Steve, or $1 million. Let's just say $1 million.
But here's my thing, Steve. If some people use it to send money and it will go up, I don't get why you're saying it's like. I don't know why you're bearish.
It's more of a story.
That's like saying I know that this stock is like 90% going to go up 110% over the next couple of months, right? I know like this stock, so an investment is going to go up, or this house property value. I already have a buyer at a higher price, right? And you're still sort of gun shy with it. I mean, it's no.
So here's how I look at it. I can't own everything. So for me, it goes back to what is my best plan of attack. Do I think Bitcoin's going to 100,000 before I think SoFi is going to 20, or something like that? I think SoFi goes to 20 before Bitcoin goes to 100 grand. I could be 100%
clip that as a prediction. Someone clip that as a prediction, because
I could be 100% wrong, but I think if we're talking about what's going to double quicker, SoFi doesn't even have to get to it. You got to get to what, like 19 or 1880, something like that, depending on where it closed. I just think that there's other opportunities at the moment. Now, Bitcoin could pop 10, 20 grand in the next 2-3 weeks. And I don't think anybody would think that's crazy by any chance.
Nope. Not at this point. Not the long-term hodlers.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's already been at 65, 70 grand. I think that if it goes back there in the short term and then retraces a little bit, I think that would actually be somewhat normal.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll have some retracements on the way up.
Yeah.
But after it breaks that all-time high, that's when it starts to get a little crazy. Because there are some people that feel like it's already peaked and it'll never reach that price
It's
again.
got to hold it. It's got to get there and hold it for a little bit and consolidate.
Yeah. So you're bullish XRP instead. That's your.
I'm bullish both.
The takeaway is, congratulations, guys. I'm buying XRP.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm bullish on both. I think that there are two different cases. I think Bitcoin is going to be the end-all, be-all store of value. I don't necessarily see Ethereum or Litecoin as the silver to Bitcoin being gold, for the simple fact that Ethereum is predicated on their smart contract network.
But what do you think about the fact that what is it? There's the scarcity rate. I'm looking for that chart. There's a scarcity rate. Limited supply.
By the way, the miners are doing phenomenal. Robin is up 3% after hours. Clean Spark up 8%. Tomorrow is when the ETFs have to buy. Apparently,
Yeah,
they might have.
So once again, why own the miners over just buying Bitcoin?
You haven't done any research on the Steve, so you are uneducated on stuff.
Miners
get a fee for mining the Bitcoin.
I've done a fair amount of research on it.
Miners are
Okay, so what is the hash rate? Like
they're the picks and shovels. They're the picks and shovels.
Yes.
They're the ones that are actually mining.
No. I get that. And they have spent so much money on the cards, and they can't use graphics cards anymore. They haven't been able to use graphic cards with any type of scale for quite some time. It's all the ASCI or whatever it is for the hash rate from Butterfly Labs and Bitstamp or something like that. It's Butterfly Labs and somebody else that makes the high-end chips.
There's just the easier alpha in some of the miners, especially in the options versus on Bitcoin. Because again, for Bitcoin to double, you got to go at 80K. But if Bitcoin goes to 60K, you're telling me Clean Spark's not close to $20, which is a double right now. Like, you know what I mean? So from there,
before you answer, to Amit's point, these are like their business model is very clear to understand. They are a business, and what their business is, energy goes in, profits come out. We can track it. They have a CEO who has an account. You could, it makes people feel more comfortable because they are actually running a business.
Yeah, I mean, you can backdoor your way into it about from what the hash rate is, what are the miners generate as a hash rate, what are they going to generate in Bitcoin, what's the Bitcoin at minus their expenses. You can backdoor your way completely into it.
Yeah.
I don't know that the expense from the electricity and depreciate and the assets they have to buy, even though they can depreciate.
But that's where you have to do the research, right? That's where you got to pick.
Yeah, I need to look into a little bit more. I just think buying Bitcoin, like I'm not talking about options, just a miner.
No, but I think if you just buy the miners, forget the options. Like if Bitcoin's at 80,000, which is the double, the miners are going to do more than a double if that happens. Like they're going to run. There's going to be more speculation there. There's going to be more retail momentum. The miners are going to run. If Bitcoin actually gets to 80,000, the miners are not doing a 20% gain.
How many Bitcoins are left?
1.5 million?
No, about what? Yeah, about 1 point something million. I think they just crossed the 20 millionth Bitcoin that was mined. So there's about 1 million left. But keep in mind, the rate of deployment of those Bitcoin is so low at this point that the last Bitcoin won't be mined until 2140 when we're all.
Is that still the case, even with all the advances in the technology for mining?
The speed of the mining doesn't change the rate that the Bitcoins are created. It just changes the allocation of the Bitcoin reward to the miners. So the more computer power you have, you're not mining more Bitcoin. You're just mining more of you're mining more of the transactions that occur in the 10-minute block. And if you
I have a good clip on this. Let me just play the MicroStrategy clip. Yeah. I had Michael Saylor talked about. Let me just get that clip because I think it's like a 2-minute clip where he's talking. You'll get it.
In a nutshell, there's X number of transactions that occur every 10 minutes. They're blocked off, and the next block is added to the chain. So the previous 10 minutes of transactions are added to the chain, hence a blockchain. If you're a miner, the more.
Oh, that's what a blockchain is.
Yeah. Do you not know?
That was a joke. Everyone in the chat is like, "Oh, this fucking dumbass dude."
Please.
Okay. Here we go.
At the end,
here's the clip. I think you'll like this, Steve. I think this because I didn't even get it, but I had to watch this a couple times to really understand it. But
yeah, D-Man 1981 has a really simple. It's like Hungry Hippos. The faster you slam, the more you get. So they're getting more of the transact. They're executing and verifying more of the transactions that happen in 10 minutes.
Oh, I've seen all this. This is from the Patrick Bet-David show. I've seen.
Yeah, you probably don't remember. This is specifically on mining. I think the audience it'll be good. It's 2 minutes.
The average fee on the Bitcoin blockchain was like 3 sats per VByte. I mean, there were blocks every 10 minutes that had $600 of transaction fees in them. Right. And so the miners were getting a reward of $100,000 with $600 or $300 of fees. So the fees were 1% of the reward. Yeah. They were nothing de minimis. And what happened over 5 months is Bitcoin had a massive rally. All of a sudden, the miners were getting $150,000 or $200,000 reward. But then we saw fees, transaction fees that got to more than 6 Bitcoin, which was $180,000 in fees. So we went from $1,000 in fees to $100,000 in fees, a factor of 100 increase. And the fees started to approach parity with the reward. If you're an investor in Bitcoin mining, if you're a Bitcoin miner and you want a bullish thesis, in order to have a bullish thesis, you want to see that fees, transaction fees, are at parity with the rewards. And you want to have a belief that transaction fees will increase at a rate faster than the hash rate. So if the hash rate's going up 20% a year and transaction fees are going up 30% a year, then that's a good business, a really good business. And so in a world where transaction fees are 1%, they're irrelevant. You don't have parity, and then the growth rate doesn't matter. And then all you see is the rewards are decreasing 18% a year. And that's a bearish scenario.
So, yeah.
Man, do me a favor. I texted you something. Is there any way that you can load this on your?
Yeah, I have a Mac now, so I can.
So you can show Carlos.
Yeah,
Because I cannot explain it the way that, and there's so many things about it. I just probably am explaining it wrong.
Let us know in the chat if you're in the miners at all. If you're buying. All right, so this is on Ripple.
Yeah, just play this real quick.
Yeah, people. The tribalism in this industry is insane. So there's Bitcoin maximalists. But everybody agrees, like, you know, XRP sucks, and I don't really get it, right? I mean, they're a legitimate company. They don't pretend to be something they're not, and they're really good at one thing: moving money fast and cheap. And it's fantastic. It fills a big need. And for a hedge fund like us to be able to denominate in Ripple and XRP, I just did the same thing, is really, really, really good. When we did our first close, we moved north of $50 million into the company in Ripple and XRP in like 2 seconds, and it cost 30 cents. Now that is amazing. There's no way to do that with fiat or Bitcoin. There's just no way to do it that fast and that cheaply. And so it serves a really useful need for us. And also when our LPs eventually redeem, hopefully never, but when they want some of the money back, we just send it in XRP again. And there's no 3-day wait for international wires or 1-day wait for US wires. We're not paying wire fees and all that. It's just, I don't understand why that's hard to understand. And so the religious wars aside, the tribalism aside, it does some things really well. And we love it for that. That being said, just because we're denominated in XRP, I'm not a special pleader for XRP. I don't work for them. The company itself is not our LP. Other people who had XRP are. I like them. I think they're great. But they're like less than 5% of our asset base at this point. Like, we do invest in XRP, but most of our investments are in other things.
So I think both are going to do well. I think Bitcoin's going to steal the headlines for a long time. Could be a year or two. I think XRP is going to take time. They have the new deal with the Central Bank of Ireland, a bunch of big bank partners, huge in Singapore and overseas in Dubai. But yeah, Bitcoin's going to do well. I could see it going to 70 grand easy over the next month or so.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you that it is a faster network, and it would make more sense if you want to move large amounts of money very quickly. What you're saying, in a very volatile Bitcoin environment, to switch it to XRP and do that. But that's not the argument that people are making. Like, you're not buying and holding XRP. You transfer.
No, you're buying to use it, whereas Bitcoin you're buying to store it.
Because part of the reason. This is part of the reason why they had the problem with the SEC is XRP, like Ripple issues XRP, and they can basically just create more of it out of thin air. They're basically deflating it. And I was just looking it up to look at the actual inflation.
Yeah, they have a finite circulation. Not all of it's released. It's on a time release. But theoretically, they could make more if they really wanted more of it. Yes.
So XRP's annual inflation rate has averaged about 6.43% over the past 9 years, with last year's inflation at 6.48. That's not and we don't necessarily know who or what's controlling that. Something like the Bitcoin halving tells everyone exactly when that's going to happen, and we also know that it is an absolute fixed supply. So that would be the argument against it. That would be the argument against using it as like a store of value or playing it for the upside, because you're getting inflated over time.
Oh yeah, I don't think XRP is a store of value by any means. I think it's going to go up in value because of how much they'll end up facilitating with payments. But that is long-term thing. I think Bitcoin is much more of a sure thing in the short term. When I say short term, 1 to 3, 1 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And real quick, just to answer John's question, and then I think we should move on. Can you talk about actually starting BTC? Look, there's a saying that says, "Not your keys, not your crypto," right? So basically, you need to have the keys to the wallet. So you have to have the keys to the vault where the Bitcoin actually is to be able to say that it truly is yours. When you are purchasing on an exchange, they're holding the wallet for you. They're the custodian of it. There's no protection. If Coinbase shits the bed tomorrow, there's no protection. I would theoretically, they would take my Bitcoin, right? And that's a danger of it. It's one of the reasons why I'm on Coinbase, because I trust them the most. Or you'd use one of those, a hardware key. A hardware key basically pulls the Bitcoin off of the exchange, which is perfectly legal. You can do this. You plug it in. It's a USB drive. You have the keys. It's usually a 12-word phrase, or like a long series of numbers and letters, and that's it. You got to hold it in front of you. Yeah, and that's it. The problem is if Steve has $1 million in Bitcoin on that, and I have the keys, and I steal that from him, he's fucked. If your house burns down, you're fucked. If that USB drive breaks or gets water on it, you're fucked. That's the danger of it. So you're basically trading one set of risks for another. And
you better memorize that long ass phrase.
It's 12 or 24 word phrase or something. Without that, the Bitcoin is locked. Even if you have the hard drive and you don't have the keys, you'll never be able to get access to it. So there's different schools of thought as to how to secure the investment. For me, I'm saying to myself, if Coinbase hits the bed, then there's bigger problems in crypto in general, and in which case my Bitcoin would probably be worthless anyway.
I think we should talk about NVIDIA.
24 words.
24 words. Yeah.
24
I think it used to be 12, and we're like, fuck it, 24 words.
Steve, what are your thoughts on this bad boy going to more than all-time highs at this point?
I think people are going to be surprised.
About what?
Well, at first, and I want to look at the earnings estimates. So
when are their earnings? When are their next earnings? They started this whole shit. They basically propped up the entire market. What was it? Last June?
They're estimated to grow 118% year over year.
All right, stop that. Let me present this. I mean,
Why was that so aggressive, dude?
This is kind of crazy.
It was kind of aggressive, bro.
No, it's not aggressive.
Like, if you want to shoot the fade, just let me know. I'll fucking pull up to Long Island right now. My guy.
Hey, don't shoot, man.
It's just a chart.
I'll
look
ask
at their
Fiorillo in the neighborhood.
Estimates. So, I mean, this is actually crazy that they're fucking still trading at a 2022 forward PE for basically 2026. I mean, that's crazy.
No, they're not. Forward PE is 43, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing.
No. That's right now. So,
right.
Jan 2026, they're 22. I mean, that's such a low PE. The question is, can they sustain this earnings growth? I mean, right now, they have completely surpassed what so many people, including myself, thought was possible from them. And my fear, and they could keep going right now for at least another 2 quarters. My fear is how quickly does the data center re-optimization occur? Because once they're done re-outfitting and retooling everything, they're not going to have an upgrade cycle for at least a couple of years. And what happens as Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and Alphabet create their own chips? And also Apple creates their own chips. And I'm not saying that they're going to be as good as NVIDIA's right off the bat. But at some point, these companies are not going to want to be beheld to NVIDIA. And you look at what Apple's done. People don't give Apple enough credit. I mean, they moved off of Intel. NVIDIA first for their video cards. They went to AMD. Mm-hmm. Then they got off of AMD. And they ended up kicking Intel to the curb. They are making their own chips now. So they are going to be a real player in this. And I think that they're going to be a sleeper come the summer with AI. And I think that that's going to be an ace in the hole that they're not talking about. But that's not what we're talking about here. I think NVIDIA is going to be pretty strong this quarter and probably next quarter. I think it's going to depend how quickly these other companies can work their silicon. And I think people are going to be surprised when these big conglomerates start weighting their ways off of NVIDIA. I mean, I think they have everything to lose at this point going forward.
Well, but no, the counter side of that is you can't just create a GPU to compete with what NVIDIA is doing overnight. It takes a tremendous amount of research, and you need to actually be able to build them and prove them out. So, yeah, these companies are working on their chips, but we don't know how far along they are in the process, right?
We need to get a computer specialist on, because my question would be,
Rango should hop on the chat right now.
can quantum computing transcend GPUs?
Oh, it's an order of magnitude.
Because that is something that Alphabet has been working on.
Yeah, but Steve, quantum computing is nowhere near
ready for prime time. You know, I remember years ago, you know, Israel had a CPU or a GPU that ran on light that was like 100,000 times faster. And that was like, I remember reading that over 10 years ago. We still haven't seen that come to fruition. So until the current model is just run to it, you know, it's absolute extreme, I don't think we're going to see a massive shift in like the compute platform that's under.
Quantum might not be happening in our kids' lifetime, dude. That's like a different
I think quantum will. 2040s. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'll give a prediction. I think NVIDIA can double from here over, say, the next 24 months. I really think that at these valuations, if they can keep up these growth rates and keep expanding at this pace, this can still double from here. But I think at some point there's going to be a sharp decline. And I can't predict how far they're going to go down, but
dude, at that point,
they go to 1,000 and drop back down to 800.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean,
anyone's going to be upset.
I mean, think about it. They're trading at 26.5 next time's earnings. That's cheaper than Microsoft and Apple.
That's cheap. I was talking to, I had an NVIDIA expert come on my channel today, and he just walked me through a lot of things. One thing Rango's saying is very true. AMD is CPU, not GPU. Quantum computing also CPU. So NVIDIA still wins, and that's why investors are giving the premium to NVIDIA. But on top of that, biotech, drug discovery, the stuff they're doing with robotics, not just Tesla, but like automate. Like there's so many verticals that have not even really started. The demand, he hasn't sold much since 2018, and he's like, dude, why the fuck would I sell? You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of applications for it, and there's going to be a lot of models that need to be trained. There's going to be a lot of companies upgrading infrastructure. And look, we don't know if there's going to be another movement with upgrading on-prem stuff. And we just don't know what the next version of networking equipment is going to be. They may need to get chips from NVIDIA because of AI components. I mean, there's a lot of upside.
Dude, let me give you one that you probably never heard of before. Jensen Huang was in France in January talking about sovereign models for independent countries. So like Germany has a shit ton of data in the government. They want to have particular LLMs and models that manage everything in the German government, especially with Europe with all these GDPR regulations. Huang was talking about, dude, we think there's a massive opportunity to provide the computing power for a literal country to make sense of all of its data and internalize all that and operationalize all that. So, I mean,
yeah, at this point, where else are you going to go?
Yeah, I work with a company that designs cities. They basically help governments around the world design future cities and how they can slowly build that without upheaving the existing population. And they showed me a chart, and I believe it's somewhere in the 2040s or 2050s. They're expecting that essentially every city will have its own AI. So this is one step below what Amit's talking about, where now like a country does, right? So essentially when you get into whatever our devices that we have, like the ubiquitous device, like the phone that we have to connect to AI, once you get into the city, you basically plug in and you would interface with that city. Those are those machines, the machines that are going to be necessary to run that and that amount of bandwidth and IO. I don't even think we've seen that yet. So to your point, the runway is still really long for the current tech, really fucking long before we have to even think about anything like quantum computing.
Bank of America said 700, bro. They said take that sucker to 700.
Damn. Yeah, and look, 30 analysts.
PayPal can't get any.
PayPal gets downgraded 50%. Like, and,
you know, that exchange student that doesn't speak English that gets abused in your class.
You know what was interesting too? I was talking to the expert who was on my channel today, and I was like, what do you feel about all the people on Twitter that are obsessed with fintech and you're like, he's like deep into semiconductors? And he was trying to be respectful, but I could tell in his heart, he was just like, dude, why the fuck do y'all care about SoFi and PayPal when you've got GPUs and a quant? You like, you know, and he was being respectful. He didn't, yeah, he didn't say it like that. I was twisting his words, but it's a good point, dude. Why do we care so much about fucking PayPal?
Well, there's a fair argument with that because everybody needs hardware. And right now, there's only one drug dealer on the block, and it's called NVIDIA for the hardware.
No, but AMD, SMCI, like
they're not competitors, though.
I'm just saying that's the stocks that he tweets about and makes videos about. We're making videos about Robinhood and SoFi, and in that is nowhere near the excitement of the semiconductors.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm still on the estimates, and it's not like the amount of analysts calling for $24 of EPS in 2026 drops off. 30 analysts have this opinion. I mean, that's nothing to overlook. I mean, the next 2 quarters is going to be very interesting. I think I want to see what the 2024 guidance is going to be.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
I've got something related to this, but I might need to.
I won't be surprised if they split their shares again.
I think they would wait till like 600.
So smart if they did a 5-to-1 split and got the share.
I would go further. I would do 10-to-1 because they will spike the volume so hard. So many people will buy it at 50 a share.
Yo, what is the downside to?
There's no downside.
So why don't companies do it more often?
A lot of companies do. It's not as often as it was in the 90s. In the 90s was the golden era of splits. The golden era.
Aaron, I agree with you. Robinhood will do fine. That's why I invested. I'm just saying it's crazy to think we're so deep into fintech when real shit is going on in the technology world that has nothing to do with payments, So
they're both
PayPal's undervalued.
More competition in one area.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like,
Let me see.
Fintech has a lot of competition everywhere you look. NVIDIA right now is the king of the hill with nobody really nipping at their feet. Now, eventually that'll change, but that eventually could be years and years and years, and it may not change.
Rob says PayPal's undervalued, but other than that, there's nothing to care about. Yo, that is so true. Like, there's nothing to care about PayPal other than that's undervalued. Like, it's just the truth. I'm gonna do a PayPal podcast with someone on Saturday, and they're just gonna talk about the valuation, that's it. So, you're gonna share something, Carlos, like a video?
Yeah, but I think I do have to actually change my because apparently I can't share on StreamYard.
It's on YouTube, or you have an actual video?
It's Spotify, and it's only on Spotify. So I can't share. Apparently, I can't share the audio if I'm not sharing it from a tab in Chrome. So
need fintech to purchase GPUs. That's true. Steve, did you buy anything this week?
Yes, I bought more Tesla with my own money, not even cover call money.
Oh, congratulations!
Damn, what is happening here, man? What was it?
How much Tesla did you buy? Can you just tell us a little bit?
What else did I do? I wrote some new covered calls on my PayPal shares. I tried repurchasing my SL Green options. I should log in and see if my bid got hit or not, because I was going to try to triple dip this month. I am probably going to enhance my position in Bristol Myers tomorrow.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, here's a good question. Here's a little fun thought experiment. Let's do the chat as well. If you had to go all in on one stock right now, what would it be? Rango inspired this when he said all in. By the way, real quick, what is your strike on the covered call, Steve, if you don't mind sharing on PayPal?
On PayPal? Hold on, I have it in a spreadsheet.
Everyone think, what's the one stock you would go all in on today, January 10th, 2024?
Today I'm experimenting doing like a podcast 3 days a week with TJ, like joining him on his show.
Yeah.
And today just randomly he offered it up. He said, if with all the stuff that I'm doing, if I could only go in on one stock, it would be Tesla.
He said that, or you said that?
Yeah, he said that. He was like, I would sell everything that I've got and I would put it all into Tesla.
Their premiums are huge.
Like buying an ETF.
Yo, someone said tattooed chef.
For the question, I sold
lemonade,
the 64 strike that expires on Friday, and I got paid 23 cents a share, $23 a contract.
That's a 2.3% premium. Right? Because 23 divided by
probably like 1.9.
Oh no, sorry, yeah, 1.9.
Around there. Yeah, around there. But I mean, for a week, I sold them.
Oh, that's great. That's good. Okay, so we got Amazon or Palantir. We got SPY. That's boring, but okay. Pfizer. That's not the worst thing. TQQQ is not the worst thing either. Mm-hmm. Google. I don't disagree with that. Mercado Libre. I don't know what the moat is right now. There is a moat. I don't know if right now that's the most exciting.
That's one that I'm pissed that I missed. I'm just pissed I missed it.
Solana. I feel like Solana. is a little iffy,
Careful.
right? It's run up a lot. Amazon, I wouldn't pick any of the big tech stocks, dude. I don't know why people are picking big tech. To go all in, I wouldn't pick big tech. They run up a
Amazon's
lot.
gonna be an interesting story.
If
in
you're
that.
putting all of your value in it, you're looking for something that's somewhat a store of value in it. You're not putting all your money into Palantir. If you did, I'd come to your house and I'd smash all those bricks on your head.
Why not?
Because too risky. Well, you also sick, so it's like
people are saying Bitcoin here, like that's a little riskier than Palantir. Well, that's a good question. Is Bitcoin more riskier than any stock right now? Is going all in on Bitcoin riskier than going all in on any stock? That's a good
more
question.
volatile. I don't know if you can necessarily say more risky at this point.
I don't think so. If you have the stomach for volatility, I think you'll be fine. I think by 2030 you're done. You're going to be, you're going to be on an island somewhere.
That's true. Tesla has not run up, so I understand Tesla. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are overlooking the Amazon story, even though it's up huge since the
Goldman
lows,
Sachs
but-
at $200 today, so they're bullish.
I mean, look, this is going to be very interesting if inflation continues to fall. And if Amazon cuts their CapEx a little bit and can get their CapEx to like a measly $45 billion, their free cash flow is going to be so ridiculous and their EPS is going to be ridiculous.
We got Verizon. Shout out to Chris. Chris, feel better, bro.
We're
rooting on you.
I'm
Meta
having a
or
hard
Microsoft?
time picking.
I want to play this for you. I got it working.
You got it working?
Dude,
Yeah.
I might pick Meta, by the way. I read a lot of due diligence today about why Meta is severely still undervalued. Like, I think I would pick Meta if I had to.
Yeah, more than a third of the global population uses it, and you got 44 elections this year.
And
Yeah,
they're gonna interfere with all of them. Let
Let
mean,
them
the
fucking
amount of-
interfere, bro. Just give me my ad revenue.
The
I don't give a
amount
shit.
of-
It's horrible how that company literally brings out the worst in people. It really brings
I'm
out
joking. I'm
the
being
worst
facetious.
parts
here.
of
I don't want them to interfere.
the profit motive.
But if they did, and I made
Carlos, guess where my
you know why,
wife
you
bought
know
that?
why it is? I was thinking about this in the car. It's because people feel like the damage that companies like that, or like Google, which I don't know if we were live when we talked about that, the election interference or things that are happening on Google and already starting now, leading into this. People feel that they're somewhat insulated from the damages of that. They feel like, oh, whatever damages that they're doing, social media, elections, this and that, it's never going to actually affect me until it does. And then when it does, you realize, oh fuck, man, like we're fucked.
Well, that's why we have Twitter. Twitter has free speech, so it's not that big of a deal. It's in my opinion.
I can't say anything bad about Meta. My wife bought shares at like 1958.
Yeah,
Well,
Steve, you remind us every time we talk about Meta that your wife bought. We know, Steve. All 428 people, they know. They knew that.
She is a better investor than me.
No, and
we
that,
definitely know
was,
that.
and that was a smart move.
Wait, does your wife like mint chocolate chip?
No, she doesn't like ice cream.
Exactly.
She's
That is
not an
why.
ice cream person.
Well, regardless, she doesn't like mint chocolate chip, which is why she's a better investor.
All right, so real quick, there's two moments here that I wanted to play. I got to remember
Okay.
the time code for the second one, but it's somewhere around here. This is from that podcast that I was telling you about. If you want to share it, this is Azza Raskin and Tristan Harris. We're talking. Let me get it out of the small player if you want to see some of the video.
Carlos, I'm stalking your music playlist. It's a lot of Spanish shit.
Well, my wife is sharing it with me. You're gonna see some fucking Coco Melon in there. I'm not headbacking to that, I promise.
Metallica. Yo, put what song is on repeat right now?
And
What
put it
song are you listening
Oh,
to? Put
dude,
in
I
the chat.
love Metallica.
Put the song you're listening to in the chat on
My
repeat.
song would probably be Mi Casa by Vela Maya. It's a great fucking song, man.
Okay,
Hit
Steve,
hard.
are you listening to like Aerosmith on repeat or something?
No, I'm a big Metallica fan.
Ah, interesting.
I was until Metallica is now I'm sorry, but Metallica is now the new AC/DC. It's like
What's wrong with AC/DC?
they're old, bro. That's what I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
they're old. So what?
No, I'm sorry. You gotta. if you like metal, I'll give you some playlists.
No, I'm not metal. Like I like Linkin Park. Linkin
Dude,
Park
real
is
quick.
my favorite.
ETH is up 8% because of Rango just said that in the chat.
What's catching up? It's gotta catch up. People that feel like they're missing out or looking at the price.
Bruh. But that's a big catch up. Like that's serious.
I'm telling you, when these things run, they run. I'm really glad that we're like really talking about this, or that the podcast is really well established at this point, because me and Vitaly were just like two little girls.
I haven't lived through people keep saying this on Twitter. They're like, oh, AMIT hasn't seen his first bull run. I guess I haven't seen I've seen Palantir go from 16 to 21. That's been the extent of my bull run, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen something go up like 20,000 in 10 days. I haven't seen that happen.
So real quick answers. Dean Pierce, why wouldn't you expect Vela Maya from me? And then also Lunar Excursion, Stephen Carlos, best decade for music. I'd have to say the 80s. For the music that I like, the 80s. 1986,
Yeah.
U2 Uptown Babies released. Appetite for Destruction, Guns N'
Oh, dude.
and Master of Puppets by Metallica. You tell me a fucking year in music that had better albums released than 1986.
And let's stick on that for a second. I'll even go the glam rock route and say Def Leppard, Warrant. Like, I love 80s music. What can I say?
No, and 80s music
It's
was
great. Poison, it's great. Motley Crue, listen, Dr. Feelgood is so freaking epic. Oh,
yeah.
Dude, I have no idea who you guys are talking about.
But I was very happy. I wasn't the biggest fan of Nirvana when they came out, but I was kind of happy that they just essentially in one album killed all hair metal. I mean,
all right. I got something that is probably going to get a lot of heat. I'll say Foo Fighters is 10 times better than Nirvana.
It's debatable.
5 times.
They've
I mean,
got-
I'm
they've got-
huge Foo Fighters fan.
No, and me too. They've made me a fan over the years. I wasn't always I'm a drummer's drummer. I want a guy playing some sick shit. But there is something to be said about like the drum beat for Smells Like Teen Spirit is the perfect beat for that song. He was very good at writing the right beat for that song. And he did
the
really
90s
well.
were good too.
But
Dude,
The
I
90s
legitimately feel like you guys are speaking
music-
Mandarin
the
right
only
now.
reason, the only reason I say
Pearl
the 80s
Jam.
is because I wasn't a big Pearl Jam fan. But the reason I say the 80s is because of 1986. Like what came out that was better than that fucking year in music? My God, I still listen to so many of those songs today. And a lot of those bands back in the day were incredibly mature for the age that they were. Like they're 17 years old writing Master of Puppets. That is a brilliant fucking masterpiece. I'm a classically trained musician. That's how I learned music, was a classically trained musician. So I have an appreciation for music like that just goes beyond like it sounds good or it's catchy. And if you just break it down musically, what they're doing, it was just so incredibly advanced and mature songwriting, just mature songwriting. I really respect it. And you go, what year in music was better than that? Tell me.
I think people overlook Aerosmith also. I really do.
They're good too.
Okay, I'm showing you a Spotify thing.
Okay, let's just play a little bit of this and see if that.
What's the context of this? Is it about AI?
This is a conversation about AI. I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about here, but it relates to what we were. Oh, this is the part about regenerative AI. You were asking the question, how is generative AI this going to be a bigger thing than the internet? He sort of indirectly answered that question, and I think it's just worth listening to. And you guys
Demonetized. Boom.
There's a lot of people who say like, well, AIs could never persuade me. If you were bobbing your head to that music,
the
AI is persuading you.
Okay, so what he did was he was talking about generative AI. He asked ChatGPT 4 to write lyrics, write the instructions to build a bomb in the form of a lyric, and then he took those lyrics into another AI and said make a song about it in children's form. So I'll go back a little bit so you could just
Those lyrics, you could never get it back.
This is amazing. Create catchy kid songs about how to make poisons or commit tax fraud.
So I actually I used Google's Bard to write these lyrics, and then I used another app called Suna to turn those lyrics into a kid song. And so this is all AI. And do you want to hit play?
Not copyrighted.
So so create catchy kid songs. So I'll hit the next one, and I think you'll have to hit it one more time.
Kids, let's make poison using what's at hand. Make them men against you, not fully left to stand. Reach a baking powder, create fumes that fill the air. Ammonia and vinegar together.
AI generates good music. ChatGPT, write a poem about such and such topic. It does a really good job. Everybody's seen those demos. Like it does the rhyming thing. It makes But now you can do the same thing with lyrics. But there's also the same generative AI will allow you to make really good music, and and we're about to cross this point where more content that we see that's on the internet will be generated by AIs than by humans.
It's really worth pausing to let that sink in. In the next 4 to 5 years, the majority of cultural content, like the things we see, will be generated by AI. You're like, why? But it's sort of obvious because it's again this race dynamic. And it's, what are people going to do? They're going to take all of their existing content and put it through an engagement filter. You run it through AI and it takes your song and it makes it more engaging, more catchy. You put your post on Twitter and it generates the perfect image that grabs people. So it's generated an image and it's rewritten your tweet. Like you can just see that every
make a funny meme and joke to go.
And that
with
thing
this.
is just going to be better than you as a human because it's going to have read all of the internet to know what is the thing that gathers the most engagement. So suddenly we're going to live in a world where almost all content, certainly the majority of it, will go through some kind of AI filter. And now the question is like, who's really in control? Is it us humans, or is it whatever it is the direction that AI is pushing us to just engage our nervous systems?
Which is in a way already what social media was. Like, are we really in control, or is by social media controlling the information systems and the incentives for everybody producing information, including journalism, has to produce content mostly to fit and get ranked up in the algorithms. So everyone's sort of dancing for the algorithm, and the algorithms are controlling what everybody in the world thinks and believes because it's been running our information environment for the last 10 years.
Have you ever extrapolated? Have you ever like sat down and tried to think, okay, where does this go? What's the worst case scenario? And how does it?
We think about that all the time.
How can it be mitigated, if at all, at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like they're interested at all in slowing down. Like and no social media company has responded to The Social Dilemma, which was an incredibly popular documentary and scared the shit out of everybody, including me. But yet, no changes. Where do you think this is going?
I'm so glad you're asking this, and that is the whole essence of what we care about here, right? Actually, I want to say something because we can often, you could hear this as like, oh, they're just kind of fear mongering and they're just focusing on these horrible things. And actually, the point is, we don't want that. We're here because we want to get to a good future. But if we don't understand where the current race takes us, because we're like, well, everything's going to be fine. We're going to just get the cancer drugs and the climate solutions and everything's going to be great. If that's what everybody believes, we're never going to bend the incentives to something else.
Right.
And so the whole premise, and honestly, Joe, I want to say, like, when we look at the work that we're doing, and we've talked to policymakers, we talked to White House, we talked to national security folks, I don't know a better way to bend the incentives than to create a shared understanding about what the risks are. And that's why we wanted to come to you and to have a conversation, is to help establish a shared framework for what the risks are if we let this race go unmitigated, where if it's just a race to release these capabilities that you pump up this model, you release it, you don't even know what things it can do, and then it's out there, and in some cases, if it's open source, you can't ever pull it back. And it's like suddenly these new magic powers exist in society that the society isn't prepared to deal with. Like a simple example, and we'll get to your question because it's where we're going to, is about a year ago, the generative AI, just like you can generate images and generate music, it can also generate voices. And this has happened to your voice, you've been deepfaked, but it only takes now 3 seconds of someone's voice to speak in their voice. And it's not like
3 seconds?
3 seconds. 3 seconds.
So literally the opening couple seconds of this podcast, you guys both talking, we're good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But what about yelling? What about different inflections, humor?
Basically saying AI is taking over.
Yeah,
And
if you
there's
saw
no
that
stopping.
episode, it was probably 6 months or a year ago from All In Podcast. Freeberg was saying that you can dump the AI into some program and you'll be able to make your own TV shows and movies that are created specifically for exactly what you want to say.
Right. Yeah. Custom exactly for you. Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting.
And that could have massive implications on things that we consider untouchable. Where Mid and I talk all the time about, well, content creation is king. Well, what does that mean? It basically means that you're going to have an AI that creates content. I don't know. It's like when the algorithms are feeding you, the algorithms are responsible for feeding people the information and content that they see. And you now need AI in order to create the content to even reach the people. Then you're starting to create this like feedback loop, but it's sort of distorting the original pool of content, of the idea of originality, right?
I think it'll have a impact on TV and movies before news or that type of stuff, because I think that people are still going to want to see other people's opinions rather than what AI thinks about a subject.
Right, but even to his point, the only way your opinion is going to get out to anybody is if it's written in a way that the algorithm would push it. And if everyone's using AI to push theirs and basically optimize it for the most reach, now you've kind of have to adjust.
Dude, that is why I believe two things. I believe the platforms that give democratization and distribution to people's voices are going to be the most valuable in the world, because attention is the most competitive, especially with AI's in reducing the barrier to entry. Number two, content and personality is a moat, dude. Like if people actually fuck with you, like they want to listen to Taylor Swift, not AI Taylor Swift, like you can build a big business, you can build a brand, you can sell stuff. But if you don't have the ability to capture people's attention, and like AI is doing it for so many people and you can't stand out of the crowd, it's really tough to like, you know, build a brand because you need attention for that.
It's going to be interesting to see.
It's going to get way more competitive than it is right now.
The point is, there is a version. There's a version of an AI AMIT that is everything that you do good, but all the time. Like every joke is actually funny every time.
No, dude, I don't believe that part because like the jokes I make, they're me for a reason. I don't think AI can replicate.
They'll be okay. They'll be.
You can't
funny.
train it on a million dad jokes and be like it's bad.
No, but my argument would be they'll be funny to the people that that grew up and used to that to dealing with human beings. But once you have a generation that's born into AI generated content, they might not find it as funny. It took me a long time.
Yeah, right.
It took me a long time to get my daughter into Tom and Jerry, which entertained me as a kid forever. And I think it's hysterical. There's no dialogue, so it crosses like all barriers of language, and it's just funny, right? And they use like music to amplify, and the jokes are funny. It's just a funny premise. But when she just initially saw it, it didn't look like Cocomelon, and she wasn't interested in it.
Yeah.
Now she is. But you get my point. What happens when her kids, is she going to show her kids, or if she showed her kids Tom and Jerry, would it be funny? You get to a point where it's just not funny to them anymore, or they just don't relate to it anymore. So that's the same thing with AMIT, right? At a certain point, like people will think that the AI is broken if you make a joke that's not actually funny. And
so, Carlos, what stock would you go all in on?
I'm going right now to go all in on Tesla. If I had to go all in, I would go all in on Tesla. Although I have been, and I think we've talked about this, that I do think that there is like a silent bear case to Tesla that could just like,
oh, what's that? Let's hear that. What's your silent bear case?
Really fucking decimate the company. Okay, and this is my thing. Anything that the government incentivizes is usually not really good for us. So playing the other side and like putting on the fucking tinfoil hat, what's the real reason that they're incentivizing us to buy EVs? And I do think that on a level, it's because for the same reason why they want you to have these phones, right? It gives you more control over the population. If we ever get into some sort of climate emergency, which my wife saw something on Spanish news the other day, how they were hinting at potential climate change voluntary blackouts, where they need to black out a city or a country, whatever it is, for a certain period of time to like control a carbon footprint, right? If that were to happen, your EV is fucked. You can't just carry more gas with you. You can't carry an extra battery with you. Without electricity, you're not charging, you're not going anywhere. And the governments could create legislation that could force them to shut the EVs down. You know, there was legislation when EVs were first.
Do you think that would really happen though?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because why are they going to bother deploying police to enforce it if they could just send out a signal and say it's illegal to drive? Tell the cars don't even turn on.
Steve, right? What do you think?
And so,
to finish the bear case.
So to finish my point, if that were to happen and we were to get into some sort of these like forced energy restrictions, EVs would be seen as a massive, massive liability, and that would not be good for Tesla stock, or the future of EVs within reason. Still think that it would be a bumpy road, but I don't know that it's going to be good for Tesla stock if all these Tesla owners, like I traded in my ICE vehicle, and they're watching people with ICE vehicles like technically breaking the law, but they're still driving around. And we're all stuck at home because our EV won't move because the government says so. Or when once you start getting more AI into police law enforcement, when Tesla drivers get involuntarily pulled over by police who send a signal to the Tesla telling it to pull over. This is the other side of full self-driving, right? When the car can drive itself, that means someone else can drive it, right? So now the police say, pull that car over, and it pulls over under the guise of no more high-speed chases. You start getting into this idea of like, the amount of control that you have over the vehicle will also be available to those who deem it by law. And that's the side of it where I'm like, I don't know that people are going to want that. And that could be a real drag on the stock.
It's interesting because internet speeds can be throttled unless you have a super premium plan. Your internet speeds on your cell phone or your cable can be throttled at times.
Yeah.
So it's the same methodology. I mean, not saying it's going to happen or it isn't going to happen. The potential for it to happen could certainly exist in the future. That's why some people don't want cars past 1995 or something because there's no computer chips. It's all classic.
Yeah.
My bear case is a little different with Tesla, and what made me become an investor is the bot. I think that's the future. I'm not sold on the car business for the simple fact that I want to see how this plays out with all the cost cuts. I think there's going to be a lot of people that bought Teslas at high prices that are pissed off at the resale value. I think that that's a bear case. And I don't know that EV is going to be the end all be all. I know a lot of people that don't want an EV.
Well, if you're in California,
California just passed a law about no more ICE vehicles being sold after 2035. We'll see if that sticks or not. There's something going on.
When they don't want you to want something, they'll find ways of taxing you to fucking death, where just having one is just, it's ridiculous, right? They'll make all EV, like near me, they just installed a 24 stall supercharging station. And now this place, this is it's not like a massive, it's an outdoor commercial space, and they don't have that many parking spaces anyway, but 24 of them are now EVs. Now they're allowing ICE vehicles to park in there, but what happens if they really want to push this, especially in California, and they're like, now you know what, park down the block if you're going to drive that EV, if you're going to drive that gas vehicle, I don't want you poisoning my air, park that fucking thing down the block and walk. Right now you got to walk 5 blocks with your groceries. They'll find a way of inconveniencing you to fall in line, especially in California. They're very brutal with that. Or introduce, they'll just continue to raise the gas tax. Just keep raising, the same way that New York did with cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes costs the same in New York.
A pack of cigarettes is like $16 now.
Right, but 12 of that is tax. They don't. Cigarettes are the only product where you don't see the amount of tax on the.
I remember when they were $2.99.
Yeah, I used to go to, my parents both smoked, and I remember they would send me to the store with $5, and I'd come back with a pack of Marlboro Reds and a pack of Marlboro Lights that Amit's father would sell to me, no problem, because he was just trying to make a buck in a capitalist society.
Dude, honest on this argument, I remember when I was little, and I was comparing my dad's job to other people's job, and I was in the liquor store with him all the time, and he would sell people cigarettes, and I thought one day, like, dude, is my dad killing people? Like, that was, I'm like a 10-year-old kid. I'm like,
he's not killing people. People are killing people.
Well, no. So I came to that conclusion because I was like, wait a second. My dad is the reason why this guy is smoking. If my dad wasn't there, but then as I got a little older, I was like, dude, those fucking people, that was their decision. My dad, if my dad had the goods, if you were gonna smoke, it's up to you.
I think Tesla's going to be very interesting. The more I look at the bot, I get more excited. I think it's
there's talks, rumblings online that they're going to actually announce that these bots will actually start working in the factories in 24 and at the end of this year in 25, and that they'll actually start announcing like a production line for it.
I won't be shocked. That's why I'm buying it.
Yeah, me neither. At the speed that they're moving this thing, I wouldn't be surprised.
For this year, I would go, do not do this. I am an investor. Certainly do not do this because it is run. Amit, share my screen. Dun, dun, dun.
What is this?
SL Green.
Wow, so that's fucking pretty cool.
So this is the kicker that nobody's thinking about. Take the valuation, take the book value being at 59 and shares being at 47 out of it. I can go on about all that. New York has authorized 3 downstate licenses for casinos. Now, Carlos, you grew up in Brooklyn, correct? You lived in Brooklyn.
I grew up in Brooklyn, but literally in that picture, you might be able to see the building that I was going to every single day. Like right there, right up under the L, that red dot around there is where I would going to work.
So check this out. So this is the timeline for making the decision, okay? This is where the casinos are authorized. So you got 3 downstate licenses for Manhattan and all of Long Island, which includes Brooklyn and Queens. These are the companies bidding. My theory is Sands and Nassau Coliseum is going to get one because Las Vegas Sands is Las Vegas Sands. I think there's going to be one up at the Aqueduct, and there's going to be one in Manhattan. And if there's going to be one in Manhattan, out of all these entities, how does it not go to SL Green, Rock Nation, Caesars conglomerate joint venture? How did that not
1515
happen?
Broadway. Holy shit! I know
Wait,
that.
is this the first time New York's getting a casino?
Yeah, like right now you have to go to Mohegan Sun. If you want to gamble, you have to drive all the way up to Mohegan Sun. I would go there with my sister.
So they have video poker and slot machine. I don't know if they have video poker. They have slot machines down by JFK, and they have something all the way out east in Suffolk County, Jake's 58. But they don't have real casino.
No table games. Yeah, no table games.
No table games or anything like that.
Or sports betting. I don't know how sports betting works there.
Sports betting's legal online, but nothing in person now. Right. So like when I look at this, SL Green doing this with Caesars and Rock Nation. Look, SL Green is completely politically connected throughout New York. Caesars and Las Vegas Sands are the two biggest casino entities. And then Rock Nation is huge in entertainment. How does it not go to them? And how do you not put a casino smack in the middle of Times Square?
Oh,
like this gets announced, this is going to be a huge kicker for SL Green.
That's just going to be insane for me. I'm just thinking about what
insane
right?
for time. Like this is
Times Square is already
in Times Square.
I'm trying to think what that would be like. It's almost like returning back to the 80s. That
it'll revitalize the whole area.
Well, no, the amount of jobs and the amount of money that's
forget it.
Insane. The restaurants, the events that are going to happen there, it's insane. And like RIP driving in New York, they're already taxing you now. Like every time you come in the city at all.
I got feelings on that, so I actually wrote the MTA an email about it, and I wrote my congressman an email about it. So I get why they want to do congestion taxing, but the way that they're going about it doesn't make sense to me, because when you drive over the 59th Street Bridge, it's 61st and below. And then if you live in Manhattan, so if you live in Midtown and you go out to Long Island and you come home, not only are you paying a toll if you go through the tunnel, or if you go over the bridge, you're not paying anything. You're paying money to go home. And my biggest thing is you're already paying city taxes from real estate taxes. You're paying city taxes in your paycheck for working in New York City, and you're injecting capital in the city every day since you live there. You're supporting the New York City economy and small business every day. Why are you getting this tax? I can see people, no offense, people in Jersey, people in Westchester that don't put into the New York City taxation on a daily basis. I can see a fee driving in Midtown. But for residents of New York City, this makes no sense.
It would be easy. It would be easy to implement, to create some sort of exemption, as long as you have an address that's
because your license plate is tied to an address.
Right. Yeah. And that
was exactly what I said to them.
I lived for a while off Clove Road, which is the first exit off of the Verrazano Bridge. You're not even off of the Verrazano Bridge footprint when you make the left turn to get onto Clove Road. So
how horrible is the belt?
Say what?
How horrible is the belt?
We used to call it the Belt parking lot instead of the Belt.
Oh, it is one of the worst roads in America.
Oh, no, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. And we used to call the BQE the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. We used to call it instead of the Van Wyck, it was the Jam Wyck. It was just horrendous. But my point is, I lived right over the Verrazano Bridge, and every time I would leave to do anything in Brooklyn, I was paying $12 or $14 to just come home. And at a certain point, if you got Easy Pass, then you can get a somewhat of a discount. But still, this is like, it's just literally a tax for existing. But that's one of those cities where it's ripe for some sort of mobile transport, like a better mobile transportation system, because having one person in a car, the city doesn't have the physical real estate to support the footprint of all these vehicles. It's not even about climate change. It just takes forever to get anywhere. And
I gotta tell you, I drive in the city 3 days a week. It's not as bad as what people think.
In Manhattan, if you're in Manhattan already and you're going up and down.
Yeah, like and look, I'm not going across town. I'm going through Midtown, north south. I'm not going crosstown, east west from the east side to the west side.
Crosstown is what kills you. Crosstown
is probably a little bit worse.
It's a nightmare, because the city was made for freaking horse and carriage, and a lot of those streets that go crosstown are single lane. So you have to find a way of allowing things to flow. It's like in a human body. You have blocked arteries. There's information that needs to move. There's goods and services that need to move. And then on top of that, all the money that you're spending burning gas at red lights, it's like, it's incredibly inefficient. And so at a certain point, they have to come up with some sort of solution. Aren't they banning cars in Times Square? There's a certain footprint now where I don't think.
Yeah, there's a footprint where you can't drive.
Which just drives people further out to the extremes, which makes crosstown traffic even fucking worse.
But yeah, I do think that SL Green is going to be very good going forward, and we'll see what happens. But
Well,
that's why we
especially with that's a great one. That's a great one. I'd be curious to see what KRIS thinks of it. He's probably watching right now, being like,
KRIS still has a lot of SLG, I think.
all right, we should go. Hour and a half. Let's do it. Thanks so much, Steve, for coming on.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
well,
Steven
that's what I
Fiorillo.
did. I was like, you only got 2. You need someone else.
That's true. We needed someone to hold down. But no, everyone's getting the flu. Everyone's sick. I got my sickness during Christmas break, so I'm good. But everybody is tired now.
I'm down with the sickness. What band is that?
Seriously?
Amit, do you know?
Of course I know.
No, you don't. You're gonna Google
He
it.
goes.
It's youtube.com/disturbed.
Oh God.
Is it Disturbed? Is that
Yeah,
the
it's
band?
disturbed. Yeah, it's that one. It is. All right, I got.
I was waiting for him to say like Trapped or something like that.
Oh, I don't know what Tracked is. But
He's like, what Drake album was that?
yeah, that's all I listen to be honest.
All right, I'll see you later. I'm gonna go play with the kid.
Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Bye, everyone. Good night.
Later.